Okay, so we saw a couple of tools that are useful mainly for Windows investigation, such as discovering uncommon files and whether they're connecting to the internet and performing something malicious. We did a couple of analyses with Process Explorer, which gave us whether the process is verified, whether it's being detected by any antivirus vendor out there, and whether it imports some different DLLs or libraries that could be malicious. We also saw how we can figure out with the help of a command prompt whether certain process is making internet connections. But right now let's move on to a different operating system, which is Linux, since Linux is also widely used, especially as a server. So we're going to cover a quick little useful tool that can figure out whether our Linux device has been infected with a malware or a rootkit. Now, we already talked about what rootkits are, and for this particular lecture we're going to take a look at a tool called RK Hunter. Now, RK Hunter is not by default installed on Linux systems. If you are running Kali Linux, you can install it by running sudo apt install and then the tool name, which is RK Hunter. In my particular case, it will ask for password, but the tool is already installed, so there's nothing really to install or upgrade right now. But for you, the tool should install, and if you're running any other Linux, you can simply just download it from GitHub by using git clone command. Once you do that, you can run it by typing RK Hunter, and it will open the help menu, but this tool will require sudo privileges in order to run. As you can see, it has a bunch of different options right here, which we're not mainly interested in at the moment. We only want to see the tool in its basic settings. So to run it, or to run the basic scan for the rootkits that might infect your machine, we want to run this check command. Now, to do that, we can also run the short version, which is RK Hunter-C, but also remember that it will require sudo privileges, so I must type sudo as well. And as you can see, it will start performing checks. It will perform various checks, and on the right side, we can see whether it found something suspicious or not. If any of these files are okay, it will simply type OK. If it's not okay, it will either give a warning or it will tell you that it has detected something. This particular scan will run different methods that are used to detect different malware or rootkits or anything malicious on your system. And if you want to read more about this tool and how it works exactly, you can find more about it in the Kali Linux official page, since this is a tool that is by default added to Kali Linux. As we can see from the first scan, it gave us a warning about this specific file. So if you're not really interested what this is exactly, you can further on explore and figure out whether it is indeed malicious or is this just a fake warning. Now, to continue with the scan, we simply just press enter, and currently it will check for rootkits. And here you can see the list of different famous rootkits that could potentially infect your device. It will go through the entire list and it will tell you right here whether it found any of them. Okay, so it has finished for me. It didn't find any rootkit. As we can see, every single one of them is not found. And to continue with the next scan, I press enter, and now it will perform additional rootkit checks. So just in case that it did miss something right here, it will perform a few more checks just to make sure. And here it gave us one warning. So if you're running Kali Linux, this is a common warning that you'll get, especially if you're running on a virtual machine. So this is not really that important to us. We will get it and we can just continue with the next scan, since everything else is either not found or it's set to be okay. Now it will check the network and it will check pretty much if there is anything suspicious inside of different files and different network connections. Here we can see that we do get two warnings, such as the SSH root access is allowed, which could be a potential security problem, and down here we have check for hidden files and directories, which is set to warning because there are hidden files in directories, but that is also normal if you're on Kali Linux. You can continue from here, and it will give you the summary of the scan. It gave us possible rootkits, and these possible suspect files or rootkits are simply just the warnings that have been given to us. You can check all of those warnings if you're not sure why they're there, but for these particular ones, such as this one or this one, I know why they're there. This is a common result if you're running Kali Linux. Down here we will also see that all our results have been written to this log at this path, so we can check it out at whatever time that we want, and that would pretty much be it. You see how easy it was to scan for possible malware, rootkits, or any suspicious activity on Linux system. Now, of course, just because this didn't return anything doesn't necessarily mean that your device is not infected. You need to regularly update this tool so it does get different signatures and different rootkits to scan for, but you also must be aware that this tool might miss something. That is also a possibility. But nonetheless, this is a good start to figure out whether you're being infected if you're running a Linux system, and you can run this tool at certain period of time, such as once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on how much you use that Linux device. But nonetheless, thank you for watching this lecture, and I will see you in the next one.